Yeah, I'd like to begin with some practice songs as people are still arriving. And for those of you who might have heard some of these before, these songs are really in itself a practice and a reminder for us, helping us to come back to the body and to the present moment. And they are, to me, words of the Dharma. Do you need me to speak up even more? Okay. What if you both come up a little closer too? Is that okay? No. You could hear it. Because when I turn this up, it starts to echo. How's that? It gets a little squeaky. Yeah. Okay, I have to like sit in my karaoke voice posture. So these songs are, words of the Dharma, and they remind us to return and to recall some of the goodness that is already here for us to enjoy and take delight in. And so, this today when I was driving, I was feeling a bit anxious, and I recall one of the songs, and I started to sing it. And as I was singing it, came back to my body, was in touch with the breath, feeling the um, the air, the wind inside, right? As I'm singing, feeling the belly rising and falling, and then feeling the vibration of the words. So we can use these practice songs to remind us of the possibility of peace and stability that is here. And so I'll share this on the screen for those of you on Zoom. And this is one of the ways in which at the Plum Village Center with Thai Thich Center, this is how oftentimes each session is open by singing the songs, welcoming each other and getting grounded. So I'd like to begin with number 7, happiness. Mhm. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries, nowhere to go, nothing to do, no longer in a hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries, somewhere to go, something to do, but I don't need to hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries, nowhere to go, nothing to do, no longer in a hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries, somewhere to go, something to do, but I don't need to hurry. Any requests for another song? 11. The refuge song. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding of love. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. I actually don't know that song. I know the other version of it. How about I have arrived. Mhm. Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I am solid. I am free. I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate I dwell. In the ultimate I dwell. How about I am a cloud? And there. I am a cloud. I am the blue sky. I am a bird spreading out its wings. I am a flower. I am the sunshine. I am the earth receiving a seed, and I am free when my heart is open. Yes, I am free when my mind is clear. Oh, dear brother, oh, dear sister, let's walk together mindfully. I am a cloud. I am the blue sky. I am a bird spreading out its wings. I am a flower. I am the sunshine. I am the earth receiving a seed, and I am free when my heart is open. Yes, I am free when my mind is clear. Oh, dear brother, oh, dear sister, let's walk together mindfully. Oh, dear brother, oh, dear sister, let's walk together mindfully. Thank you, friends. And you're welcome to take that sheet home with you if you'd like. Mhm. And as we share these songs with others, we're sharing words of the Dharma. We're sharing this practice that helps us to, invites us to come home back to ourselves and back to the possibility of joy, peace, and stability from within. And so I'd just like to now share with you um, a bit about PNW meditation. So first off, our PNW meditation is an inclusive meditation community based in Portland, Oregon, on the unceded lands of the indigenous peoples, including the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, Siletz, and many more. Our vision is to foster a diverse community that supports the practice of all who seek to improve their lives through meditation, service, and study of the Buddhist path of peace, compassion, and wisdom. Our mission is to cultivate a sense of belonging for new and experienced practitioners from the widest possible range of backgrounds, ages, races, ethnicities, cultures, sexual orientations, gender identities, socioeconomic classes, religions, political views, disabilities, neurodiversities, and beyond. We aspire to be a contribution to the welfare of our community, our society, and the world by offering a space of belonging and support for all folks and underrepresented communities. We strive to cultivate a beginner's mind to build a sustainable community that practices deep listening, openness, speaking honestly, and acting with ethical intention. We strive to offer diverse Buddhist teachings and activities following a gift economy model. And we serve and support the transformation of all sentient beings. And to cultivate a safe and inclusive space, we have some guidelines that I'd like to share with you. So first, we aspire to do no harm and to dismantle barriers that cause separation and suffering, recognizing that our liberation is interconnected with the liberation of all. We study and practice for the benefit of all beings that is living on earth. And we recognize the suffering caused by biases, prejudices, systems of power, privilege, and oppression based on identities of race, sex, class, age, ethnicity, religion, national origin, ability, sexual orientation, and gender identity, or any other expressions. And so we acknowledge each of you in all of your rich complexities of your identities, including all dimensions that are not mentioned here. So we want to honor you, each of you in this practice, and welcome you all. And we strive to be a scent-free space for people with sensitivities. So please refrain from wearing scents when you come. There's a garden out back for those with neurodiversities looking for a quiet space. And if there are other ways you can signal for comfort and engagement, please feel free to speak up so we can support you. And for the safety of our members and to cultivate a space in which all feel free to share racist, homophobic, ableist, trans, or non-binary exclusionary language is condoned in this space. It is our responsibility as a group when we hear something to say something as a calling in to help both protect our members and allow growth, communication, learning, and connection. So I just want to take a moment now to just, perhaps we can go around and just share ourselves and introduce yourself by your pronouns. And why we use pronouns is out of respect for and acknowledgement for those who do not identify with the binary pronouns that were given to them at birth. So pronouns are part of someone's gender expression, and people can have multiple sets of pronouns for themselves, such as using both he, him, his, and they, them, theirs. Pronouns are not preferred, but instead are required for respectful communication. So I'll first start by introducing myself. For those of you who don't know me, everyone here knows, but my name is Trina and I go by she, hers. And I'll just share one thing about why community for me, right? So why community? Why practice being in Sangha? For me, community is the place where my own biases are being reflected back to me, and my blind spots are being made known and aware of. So practicing being in community for me is a pathway to awakening from my blind spots and to knowing and learning about all those ways in which I can mask, my own views and beliefs on things, to have it be revealed and seen in communities, in relationship, and in interactions. And so I'd like to invite you to share your pronouns, introduce yourself, and why be in community for you. Do you want to come up closer and be with us if you feel comfortable?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to sit.
Okay, yeah, okay. Oh, let me give you this. This is so that our Zoom friends can hear, and I'll flip the camera too for let's see. I guess everyone in the room will go and see the thing. Sorry. Make sure you put the mic close. Okay.
I'm Anthony. My pronouns are he, him, and I have several reasons why I'm with community, why I'm joining community, why I'm committing to community. I think, in short, um, it's to understand mindfulness, to learn and understand mindfulness, and if I had to sum it up even more, I think self-compassion is something that I've always been a bit short on. And so I'm looking for ways to find that self-compassion for myself. For others, it's not difficult. Love one, love all. But for me, it's always been a little bit difficult. And that's me. Thank you. It's nice to be here and nice to be with you all. Thank you.
Jonathan, Kim, I am here. East, a greater understanding of those around me, a greater appreciation. And I'm realizing through stuff, it spreads to others around me. It's a beautiful thing to see and be a part of. I appreciate you all for being here and sharing in that. I realize sitting at home practicing, it's like sitting in the dark. It's great, but in community, it's so much better. I appreciate this opportunity.
Hello. So can you hear it? Okay. My name is Tyler Yost, he, him. I feel like when we're in companionship with others, the narratives we have about ourselves and other people go away and we're stuck with the reality of what they're actually like. So I feel like all separateness comes from the storylines we make that have nothing to do with the way we are like or other people are like. So I like to be around people to know who I am through my interaction with them, as well as to get to know them in a way that is outside of what they're telling themselves about who they are and all that stuff too. Just to be with somebody and not have to think about it too much. At least you try to.
Thank you. Abby Ross, pronouns they, them. And I prosper in community. I grow in community. My practice is reflected in community. So it's essential to my own growth on the path.
My name is Frida. My pronoun is we, and I'll explain that as I explain why I'm here. We means me and you, so it's we. All of us are connected and all of us are one. And that's why I'm in Sangha, is to realize I am so much more than this self-identity, and that we're all connected as one. And it's mind-boggling. It's very deep and very beautiful.
Hi, Sangha. My name is Kat. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm here because community is such an important part of the practice, and one that I didn't really realize it was very important until maybe about a year ago. And I've been in different kind of spiritual communities, and I'm excited to be a part of this one, and that is kind of newly fledgling. So thank you.
And for those of you on Zoom who would like to share, feel free to unmute yourself. I'm going to just flip the camera here to the, there we go.
I can go. I'm Jenny, she, her. I'm in Naperville, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. And I'm, after getting away from my practice, raising a human, I am back again. I'm trying to get back to a sitting practice. And I'm grateful to have found Trina. So thank you.
Jenny is tuning in from Chicago, suburbs of Chicago, where we met at Chicago Insight.
Hi, everybody. I'm Monty, and my pronouns are he, him, and I'm glad to be part of this new community. I've been missing experience with other people, other Dharma friends, and I've found in the past that to be helpful to my practice, and so I'm glad to be able to be here this week.
Hi, Sangha. I'm Kimberly. I'm here in the high desert of California, 29 Palms, Joshua Tree area. I yeah, I'm here for the collective awakening, and I just am so grateful to always just learn so much from you and your reflections. And it's together that we wake up. And I just so appreciate being in community with you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kimberly. Well, that worked out. You could see them right through here. Okay. So let us, why don't we, before we go into our meditation time, I'd like to just have us recite the three refuges. And this is a really beautifully done version from the Manzanita village. And if you see on the sheet on one side, at the bottom is the 5 precepts that have been translated as well. And I'll talk more about that later, but every first Tuesday of the month in Taipashana Tuesday, we recite and reflect the precepts. So this is one of the versions that we've done in the past, the Manzanita village version of the precept. It's very beautiful and deep version. So I hope you will join me on Tuesday as we will be in practice with reciting and reflecting the precepts.
Trina, real quick, Ocean is coming, but they're going to be late.
Oh.
So is that door going to ring?
Yeah, it will be. I think we're the only one in the building now. So unless someone comes out and they attempt to lock it, that's why maybe keep your phone nearby just in case. Okay. Yeah, but it should be fine. Yeah. 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 All right. So I will share with our Zoom friends as well here. So we can just read this together, and we'll start with the very first one. So I'll read the italicized word here. So taking the refuges in order to honor the lineage of the Buddhist teachings and the aspiration of all beings for happiness and freedom, we take the following 3 refuges. And now we'll together say this out loud. In search of freedom for myself and all beings, I go for refuge in the Buddha and the possibility of developing a more awakened heart. In search of freedom for myself and all beings, and you can say this out loud too, I go for refuge in the Buddha and the possibility of developing a more awakened heart. In search of freedom for myself and all beings, I go for refuge in the Dharma and resolve that I will deepen my experience and understanding of its wisdom that is wider than all the oceans. In search of freedom for myself and all beings, I go for refuge in the Sangha in order to create the conditions of peace, kindness, and interconnection in our progression towards freedom in all of our communities. I go for refuge in this triple gem of our spiritual practice for the benefit and liberation of myself, my loved ones, those who I do not know or have difficulty with, and all beings in all worlds, in all directions. I guess, shall we recite the 5? They're so beautiful. Let us do that too. Yeah. So the first, so with the intention to provide safety and peace in our time of practice together, the 5 householder precepts are taken as worded by Manzanita Village. So the first, and together, aware of the violence in the world and of the power of nonviolent resistance, I stand in the presence of the ancestors, the earth, and the future generations, and vow to cultivate the compassion that seeks to protect each living being. The second precept, aware of the poverty and greed in the world and of the intrinsic abundance of the earth, I stand in the presence of the ancestors, the earth, and future generations, and vow to cultivate the simplicity, gratitude, and generosity that has no limits. The third precept, aware of the abuse and lovelessness in the world and of the healing that is made possible when we open to love, I stand in the presence of the ancestors, the earth, and future generations, and vow to cultivate respect for the beauty and erotic power of our bodies. The fourth precept, aware of the falsehood and deception in the world and of the power of living and speaking the truth, I stand in the presence of the ancestors, the earth, and future generations, and vow to cultivate the ability to listen and clarity and integrity in all I communicate by my words and actions. Last but not least, the fifth precept, aware of the contamination and desecration of the world and of my responsibility for life as it manifests through me, I stand in the presence of the ancestors, the earth, and future generations, and vow to cultivate discernment and care in what I take into my body and mind. And let us, with these words of protection and words of guidance for us, maybe come back to the body, finding a comfortable upright posture, sitting in such a way that the body can be at ease, relaxed, and upright. And bringing this care and this kind attention to how we arrive. Sitting in such a way that bring forth this quality of alertness and uprightness. And sitting in a dignified posture. And one could say that this posture is a posture that we assume when we are interested in something. We're not leaning back. We're not slouching, but we're upright, interested, curious, and engaged with what's in front of us. And so we bring this interest and attention to the breath, beginning with that first intentional in-breath. Breathing in, feeling the energy wind coursing through the entire body. The breath waking up every cell, calming every cell in the body. And breathing out, letting go of all the tension in the mind, in the body. Noticing the shoulders, the neck, all the muscles in the face, the back, the belly, the hands and the arms. Noticing where the sitting bone presses against the chair or the cushion if you're in a sitting posture. And noticing where your feet or parts of the body is making contact with the surface or the floor. Coming back to the in-breath and the out-breath, we might notice sounds in the space, letting sounds be our anchor. We might notice the sensations of breathing and letting that be our anchor. We might notice the heaviness of the body. The hardness of where the bottom side of the body is coming in contact with the chair or the cushion. To come home to ourselves is to first know that there's a body here. And to experience the body breathing. aware of each in-breath and each out-breath. And maybe for now, maybe you continue just in a single conscious in-breath and out-breath. There's a possibility to come in touch with the aliveness within. And see if you can identify where you feel the breath is most alive in the body. You can rest your attention there. Or if it feels more supportive, maybe to rest in choiceless awareness. Mindfulness is the moment we remember, the moment we wake up from our trance states. And in that remembrance, the effort that mindfulness takes is to let go of the memories, the past, the future, let go of what we're entangled up in, that's pulling us away from the present moment experience. And in letting go, we make that return back to home base. Back to the body, back to the in-breath and the out-breath. And choosing to rest. Rest in the breath. Rest in the body exactly the way it is today. Resting in the imperfections of this moment. Resting in that space in the body, the gap between thoughts. Resting in the calm or the movement of the breath. Resting in the stillness. Sometimes a slight shift or micro adjustment in your posture can help bring back that energy and aliveness to feel the breath fully again, to remember that there's a body and there's the breath in the body. And in your own time and in your own pace, slowly transitioning from stillness to movement. There's no hurry. You take a couple minutes now if you feel called to stand up or stretch in a certain way that honors the body. Welcome, Ocean.
Goodbye, Trina.
Nancy, thanks for sitting with us.
Thanks.
Mhm. So we'll just wait another minute here for everyone to come back.
Turn off the drink after 2 anymore. I see. Like for that very reason. Yeah. Fire. It's gonna come downstairs though. Stairs.
Shoulder's healing okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a car accident
Yeah.
that injury, and then I just kept doing gardening and picking up my grandkids and cleaning the house, and it really hasn't stopped. But
Yeah.
I know what I need to do. I just haven't done it.
Yeah, I know that one with shoulder injury too.
It's a long
Mm-hmm,
time.
mm-hmm.
You gotta use it unless you know, hide.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and those moments of, oops, I wasn't so mindful, you know, it acts out again. Mhm. 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 You have a heating pad that you
Yeah,
used to do.
ice and
heat.
heat really helps a
Good.
lot at night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Like everyone's back.
Trina, the trainings are awesome.
Yeah, aren't they? The Manzanita Village, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's so in like the first Tuesday of the month when we recite the precepts or review and contemplate on them, sometimes I'll use this version. And then there are times that I'll parallel it with some of the other version, the Theravada version or the Plum Village version. But this Tuesday, we're going to do the 14 mindfulness training. So if you are available, 6 p.m. on Tuesday on Zoom with the Taipashana. Yeah, it will be, we'll review all 14, or we'll try to get through 14. It's a lot because it's what we do is we review them and we contemplate, and it's like an open discussion where we're all reflecting on, you know, where is this for us and what resonates with us or what we're, you know, stuck on or you know, and so it's just a wonderful space where we can spend some time really, you know, playing with it and chewing on the teachings, the trainings, because these trainings are, you know, I mean, it's called the precepts, but Tanyakani calls it trainings because they are a training in being mindful of our conduct. Right. So today I'll actually share the first 3 trainings with you inside of this topic around, you know, how do we liberate our mind? Right. So when we're sitting on the cushion and like today in our practice, you know, what is when the mind is not liberated, when it's contracted or when it's preoccupied, what's there? Right. So just a question to throw out there so you can all shout out, or for those of you on Zoom, you can unmute yourself too. Like what's there when the mind is not free? You know, so what's pulling you away?
Is it recorded on Tuesday?
I don't share the recording for that one because some of the reflection is very personal with the trainings because a lot of us will go in and talk very deeply about our personal lives and things we struggle with. It could be about sex, drug, all sorts of stuff, you know, all sorts of things come up. Yeah. So it's definitely something, if you can come to live, it's really great. Yeah.
Meeting every first Tuesday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
me too.
I'll see if in the future I can rotate it and move that around so it's on another Tuesday. Yeah, yeah. See if I can do that. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, what comes up in our mind, you know, in those moments that we're being pulled away, and you know, what's the condition for peace to arise in the mind? You know, in that moment when you've had a good sit and you experience peace, where is that peace? Where is that space where there's peace and where there's freedom? And what is it that you are free of and free from in that moment? Right. Anyone want to respond or share what is it there in that moment when the mind is free? What is it free of or free from?
For me, it's stress, it's anxiety. Did I say it right? Did I do the right thing? Did I make the right impression today or yesterday? Or I have something I'm thinking about that's coming up. And so when I reach that place, I'm no longer planning. I'm no longer trying to impress others. Right? Just
So Anthony's saying that, that moment where the planning drops away, and there's no concern about what other people think about how you did, right, on things, and it lasts for just 1 second and then it's off again. I think I'll just.
Anthony, I hope to one day meet you during that second while I'm also having that second. Yeah. For me, I think the big one is fear, just because and a big one is also, where that comes from, I feel like, is the knowledge that you gain about people and the world that in many ways you'd be better off not having. Like, I've just learned things in my life about human beings and about the world that just really just crushes you. You know what I mean? And so sometimes I feel like I'm free when I can understand that the suffering is the necessary condition for our liberation. When you understand that, yes, the world is this way, yes, human nature is this way, but also there's so much love there, there's so much joy, and like sometimes you can stare right at the worst things in the world and just be so full of love and what usually no, but sometimes you do feel that. Yeah.
For me, it's when I have been able to step outside of self-identity, who I define myself to be, and just let that start to dissolve. And then no matter what's going on, there's nothing to do. But there is a sense of peace and stillness that feels present.
The word that came to my mind when you asked the question was attachment. So I'm in that space, and then Anthony is like, next minute, you're grasping, but there's a cessation of attachment. That is the sense that I have is I've let go, and I'm not in the grip of, right? And it comes back, of course, but it's the sense, it's that moment is the sense of I'm not attached. In a way, it could be I'm just not attached. There's a liberation in that. It's about the moments when I disarm myself and I am free. The facade is down. I'm making connection with another person. They're disarmed. It doesn't have to be like an awkward pause or an awkward moment. It's just two people, two beings relating in the same space. It's very freeing. It doesn't always last very long. And then it's back to, okay, well, I have other responsibilities and I have to put my guard up where I think I have to at times. But I'll go from one opportunity to another. I know I can't seek those opportunities, but when they come, I try to be in them.
our Zoom friends, any comments? Anything you'd like to share around peace in that moment for you? What are you free from and free of? So, you've all touched on this, and this liberating mind that is, free of fear, free of planning, free of knowledge, free of concern for the world, for all things, and the concern for even self-image, right? Our sense of self and our identity, the way we grasp onto um, our sense of ourself, and then also to attachments, and where the place where all those barriers and the wall, comes down. And so really, that experience you have is what this is. That space, that mind that is not attached to any view of self or view of others, view of the world, view of how things should be or shouldn't be. And this is a practice that we can take on and take into, whether we're viewing politics or the environment or social issues, so how is that possible, right? To take that view on. And so I hope that I will have time to share towards the end of this about the conventional view and then also the ultimate view that we have. And this is a very powerful teaching that the Buddha taught about how we can make a distinction between this, but arriving at the ultimate truth that will actually set us free, but also knowing that we live in this relative world where there is a conventional truth, right? And so those moments of, the mind being free and there's non-attachment to view, we experience a freedom. And in those moments, creativity arises. We can see our problem from an angle where solutions are easy to arrive at, right? And there is clarity, there is conviction. So to come from that place where the mind is free, we now know how to move and to what actions to take, when it comes to the matters in our life, the matters of, social issue, environmental issues, political matters, relational matters, and coming from that place of stability within and without. And this is something I really want to bring up because I know it's a hot topic right now. And, I was with a group of individuals who I have been meeting with every week for 4 years. And one of the topics that really disturb a lot of my friends in this group is just around politics right now. And so while, I also support their views and angles on seeing things, I also recognize when we are not in touch with the ultimate truth, that we lose our ground and we become very unstable and nervous. And, we have this fear around what could possibly happen, right? And in that moment, when there's a presence of fear, there isn't a mind that's free anymore. There isn't that sense of peace and groundedness anymore. And so how do we bring ourselves back? And first, how do we recognize that we're in that state, that we're now not in touch with, a liberated mind before we go into action, whether it is, to take a stand or to, whether it's in our circle or in the broader sense of the world and community. So this is to me a reminder of how we are to be before we step out into the world and take action. And we've all touched into that feeling, that experience of being free. And how do we, in those moments, of reactivity or of fear, of worry, of doubt, of the state of things, how do we come back to that? How do we snap out of the trance states and out of our views? So, the practice of coming back to the present moment is where reality is, where the way things are is. And it's not, so reality is not a matter of what's in the mind, but it's not everything that the mind makes up to be real. But reality is seeing things, a way of seeing that is beyond conditions, beyond concepts, beyond filters, beyond lens. And that's what the ultimate reality or the ultimate truth is. And conventional truth, as it has been defined in the sutra, is based on common consent. So there's the general opinion around a matter, and it's custom and it's common sense, and it concretely exists, and it's what we perceive through our senses. So that's the conventional truth, such as, that person is a dictator, right? And they're no good. We, can't have them, run the country. Or yes, that person hurt us, they harmed us. So, they're bad and wrong. So in one sense, that's true. But from the ultimate or absolute truth, you know, what one sees is the true characteristics of the event, being able to deconstruct the events, the incident, the person, and really being able to see all parts that make up this matter or this situation and how it came into existence, how it came into being. So, and seeing that it's through these cause and conditions that shaped, let's say, a dictator, or that shape a perpetrator, right? So we often look at it from such a narrow way that this person or thing is what's wrong and it needs to change. But if we look at the totality of it from this angle of absolute truth, we see all the cause and conditions that make up the person and the way things are and the state of things and how things have progressed and become the way they are. So whether that's around global warming or, things that happen at our work or in our family or in our health or in healthcare, we can look at it from both of these angles and to distinguish the two expressions of the same truth, that they both simultaneously exist. And so the Buddha, in sharing the two truths, says a truth of worldly convention and an ultimate truth. This is actually said by Nagarjuna, who was an Indian Buddhist philosopher who was one of the founder of the school that led to Mahayana Buddhism, the Buddhism school of Buddhism that I grew up in. And he says, those who do not understand the distinction drawn between these two truths do not understand the Buddha's profound truth. Without a foundation in the conventional truth, the significance of the ultimate cannot be taught. without understanding the significance of the ultimate, liberation is not achieved. So first, as practitioner, we must know that there are two truths that always exist, and to be able to distinguish them as two expressions of the same truth. And then from there, know that first, the foundation is to know of the conventional truth, or we can say relative truth. And then from there, be able to then see the ultimate truth, because only through understanding the ultimate truth are we now liberated and free. And so going back to your meditation practice, in those moments where the mind is free, you've experienced the ultimate truth. You experience the ultimate, which is beyond concepts, beyond theories, beyond ideas, ideals, views, opinions, thoughts around things. And to contemplate and to know of these truths helps us break away the rigidity of our view on things. You know, the ways that we grasp and cling on to, you know, I know this to be true, or it has to be like this, or this is the only way, it's got to be this way, right? Like nothing else can exist inside of that. There's no possibility for there to be another way that things can be. I want to share with you a story that the Buddha told about a son and a father. So there's a son and a father who were out somewhere, and they got robbed, and one of the robber kidnapped the son and took him away. And for a while, for a long while, the father did not hear about the news of his son, and he thought his son was dead. And so, you know, when he returned home, he mourned for a very long time, mourned the death of his son, his only son. And sometime later, he heard a knock on the door, and he heard the voice of his son outside the door. And at first he's like, that must be a ghost. My son is dead. He's gone. And then he heard another knock, and you know, he heard the voice that sounds like his son that says, Dad, it's me. I'm here, I'm home. And the father refused to believe that that's his son. He said, you know, it's probably the neighbor's kids that are messing with me, and they're, you know, making fun of the fact that my son is gone. And so he ignored it. And after a long while, the knocking on the door stopped, and it got quiet. And what was actually on the other side of the door was his son, who had escaped, you know, from being kidnapped and was alive and found his way back home. But his son left and never came back because his father refused to let him in. So sometimes the truth comes knocking at our door, but we refuse to let it in because we already have our ideas formulated around the matter. We already have our beliefs that we consider to be the truth. And so we reject the possibility of anything else to be there. We reject reality. We reject the truth of how things really are. And it's that mind that says, I already know, right? The mind that says, I always know this. And as Tyler, you mentioned earlier, it's knowledge that becomes an obstacle. That knowing, that knowledge, I already know, I always know, becomes an obstacle for us to get in touch with the truth. And so it requires that, relinquishing, that letting go of all knowledge, of all things we know and think we know and believe to be true. For that moment, for you to have that moment where you touch into the ultimate, where you've just let go of it all. Everything you learn about the Dharma. And one of the things that I often, like a practice, I often say to myself when I find myself in a place like where the mind is contracted and I'm so firm in what my beliefs are or what should be done, is I ask myself, well, how's this working for you right now? Where are you still suffering inside in the body or mind? And that's one way to be able to detect with the light of mindfulness, where we might be holding on to something, where we might be fixed in our view or our perception of a matter. And to be able to use mindfulness to see mind, to see perception. So this is the third and the fourth foundation of mindfulness, mindfulness of mind and mindfulness of mind object, right? To be able to say, oh, this is simply just my perception. Oh, I have a view on this. So simply by noting and being aware that it's a view or it's perception, it takes it out of it operating unconsciously, where we have identified one with it, and now it's seeing it outside of it, that, oh, I had a perception, or oh, I have a view on this. So this is simply just a view versus it being the reality or the truth. And that can help set us free in those moments where mindfulness assists us in being able to see, is this really true? Am I sure about this? And I want to share with you the first 3 of the 14 mindfulness training. The first one is openness, aware of the suffering created by fanaticism and intolerance. We are determined not to idolatrous about or bound to any doctrine, theory, or ideology, even Buddhist ones. We are committed to seeing the Buddhist teachings as guiding means that help us develop our understanding and compassion. They are not doctrines to fight, kill, or die for. We understand that fanaticism in its many forms is the result of perceiving things in a dualistic and discriminative manner. We will train ourselves to look at everything with openness and the insight of interbeing in order to transform dogmatism and violence in ourselves and in the world. The insight of interbeing is the insight of knowing that we're all interconnected, that my happiness is dependent on your happiness, and that when you suffer, I suffer, and when I suffer, I probably make you suffer too, or you experience it. The second mindfulness training, non-attachment to views. Aware of the suffering created by attachment to views and wrong perceptions, we are determined to avoid being narrow-minded and bound to present views. We are committed to learning and practicing non-attachment to views and being open to others' experiences and insights in order to benefit from the collective wisdom. We are aware that the knowledge we presently possess is not changeless, absolute truth. Insight is revealed through the practice of compassionate listening, deep looking, and letting go of notions rather than through the accumulation of intellectual knowledge. Truth is found in life, and we will observe life within and around us in every moment, ready to learn throughout our lives. So when we are in community, we have an opportunity to benefit from the collective wisdom that everyone draws from the various angles of seeing. First, the conventional truth that takes us all back to the center of where the ultimate truth is. And this line, aware that the knowledge we presently possess is not absolute truth. And Tai further says that insight is revealed through practice of deep listening, of looking, of letting go, rather than through accumulation of intellectual knowledge. That sounds so contrary to what we've been taught through our whole life. That the more you learn, right, the more degrees you have, the better off you'll be, the smarter you are.
Is that our society
Mm-hmm.
that's teaching that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, the Buddha says that intellectual knowledge actually can hinder us from awakening, because we're now filled with what I already know, right? What I know to be true. And so it's very different from what the Buddha is pointing at, which is this experiential knowledge, right? Knowledge or wisdom acquired through experience, through practicing deep looking, through practicing letting go, through practicing compassionate listening. Mm-hmm. And so even in that, I noticed that there's no speaking in there, just listening, looking, and letting go. Mm-hmm. And in our society, it's, when we know, we speak, and people who apparently, know a lot, speak a lot. But here we're going against the stream in that it's not about what you know or what you say, but it's in the practice of experiencing what's already here, what's in front of us, that we can access, the truth that is found in life and found in the present moment experience. And the third mindfulness training, freedom of thought. Aware of the suffering brought about when we impose our views on others, we are determined not to force others, even our children, by any means whatsoever, such as authority, threats, money, propaganda, or indoctrination, to adopt our views. We are committed to respecting the right of others to be different, to choose what to believe and how to decide. We will, however, learn to help others let go of and transform fanaticism and narrowness through loving speech and compassionate dialogue. So through loving speech and through compassionate dialogue is where we help others to let go and to arrive at the understanding of the conventional truth and the ultimate truth, that those two truths can exist at the same time. And so how can we apply that to some of our current issues? Where is there room for, dialogue? Where is there room for us to practice compassionate listening to those that we strongly disagree, for the life that is so opposite of ours. And so I'll pause here and invite your voice into the space on this reflection. What do we have to let go of to train ourselves to look at everything with openness, even the things we know to be true in our own experience?
So what I've learned in the last few months with help is I have fixed beliefs, like we all do, right? A fixed belief. I have several fixed beliefs. I have hundreds of fixed beliefs, and those fixed beliefs have kept me from the openness. It's kept me from being mindful. I never really knew what being mindful was. And so I'm working on first trying to identify what those fixed beliefs are. And I'm even hearing the word ancestral beliefs, and I haven't gotten there yet, one challenge at a time. Right now, I'm trying to figure out what those fixed beliefs are. So when I do figure out what they are, I can dissect and begin to explore why I have them and maybe even learn to think through them or think around them. But it's such a challenge. And like tonight, the four practices, the four training, I mean, for me, that's gonna take a lot of exercises and a lot of practicing to get to that. And then finally, I really like what you were talking about, the two truths. And I think I understand, and maybe not, but on a simpler plane or a simpler level, I've had a lot of challenges with going after something before I learned what the second truth is, or even the third truth, because often it seems that there's more than one side to a story, to use a metaphor. And so I've learned that lesson the hard way, if I understood what you're saying, and I hope I did. And that's me.
So first recognizing that there are many views, right, in the conventional truth, that there are many angles that one can see things, so let's say this right here, or this bowl, you know, if I'm here, I see that, okay, the bowl is, it's this color, it's slightly darker, it has a dent here, and that's the truth from my angle of seeing. But from your angle of seeing, you see maybe it's a little bit lighter and it's more smoother over there. So that's also true. But these are conventional truths. And this is the ultimate truth. That this is, of the same truth. These are two of the same truth. Right. So this is the conventional, and then this is the ultimate right here, is that it's like when we learned that the earth wasn't flat, you know? And so, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and the great thing is you're not alone. We're all right there with you. Oh. Yeah. And that's why you being here and being in community every morning, it's community help uplift us when we are stuck in our what's wrong with me, like why am I not better or further than where where I want to be? And then we recognize like, oh, wait, you're having that issue too? You're afraid too? You know, I had this conversation with someone recently where I said, I'm afraid. And then they said to me, I'm afraid too. And I looked up and I was like, you're afraid too? Really? And so there was this recognition that, you know, we're not so different from each other. That sense of separateness that we have created, that wall that we built, the barriers that we put up, you know, that has us feel like we are different from them, that we need to, you know, guard or protect ourselves, right? Or having to arm ourselves. And then in those moments where we disarm and the walls come down, is that recognition of the ultimate. Mhm. Else, anything you'd like to share, reflect, express?
Thanks, Trina, for the exploration of the mindfulness trainings, first three mindfulness trainings. Yeah. Um, this is a very good and difficult topic. And I think one thing that comes to mind are things that like they're kind of like objectively going to cause more suffering, like climate change. It's like objectively going to cause more suffering, racism, war, violence, abuse, like these things are all objectively bad, right? And I get that's like on this conventional level, not in the ultimate level, because in the ultimate level, there's no good or bad. Um, but even on the conventional level, it's like, okay, there's more suffering that is going to arise when there's war. There's more suffering that's going to arise when there's discrimination and racism, um, or when we're destroying the earth. Like there's just going to be more suffering that arises. So, um, I think something that feels that I am unsure how to balance is like, yes, I think listening and having like that really uh one-to-one human connection is a great way to potentially open up someone's eyes to what's happening. And at the same time, like you noted, it's like, oh, in the training, it doesn't even say speaking, right? It just says listening. Um, and I think I wonder if we're not speaking about this other world that could be possible that is better and different and more liberated than our world today, then like what's the balance there, right? And also like kind of setting a boundary and being like, well, I just have to speak. And I know some people aren't going to listen, but maybe some people will. Yeah. I don't know if that's a question as much as like just an exploration of yeah, because I feel like a lot of people who don't care, they're just not, it's not even like they necessarily disagree, it's just apathy. And there's so much apathy, I think, in our society about like these things. So yeah, it's like if you don't speak, then it's like nothing will happen. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is where, you know, when we talk about engaged Buddhism, this is where, so we first work to come to this recognition of the truths, right? The two sides of the same truth. And then from that place of non-attachment, we still go out into the world and engage with life, engage with these matters, and still work towards, you know, peace, towards non-harming, towards non-violence. So these 14 mindfulness trainings that Thai developed coming out of the 5 precepts was an inspiration during that came up during the time of the Vietnam War, where there was so much atrocity and so much suffering and pain And he recognized that I need to bring these 5 precepts back, revive them in such a way that would be relatable to our times of war, of devastation, of, I mean, while the Vietnam War was happening, there was the, civil rights movement here and Martin Luther King. And I mean, just the whole world was just, falling apart in that time. And so this, with the 14 mindfulness trainings, this was what was practiced and cultivated within the practitioners and monks and nuns who, walked the street and protested in Vietnam, and it was coming from that place where we are not um, uh, mm, not making the enemy out of the other. And at the same time, we're speaking up in a peaceful way. And it's that thundering silence that they bring into those, peaceful protests that really made an impact, and like many of you know, if there was during the Vietnam War, when the monks throughout Vietnam were protesting, um, you know, one of the monks, his name is Từ Đức, he burned himself, right? So that was his way, his expression to stop the war, stop the killing. And it was so powerful because like the whole world in that moment knew that the war was not over in Vietnam. And that was the loud call for help, call to stop that he put out there. And so when we look at like these matters such as the environment, I remember we had this conversation at a Buddhist, a Dharma teacher conference here for the Pacific Northwest a few months back, and we chose the topic of the environment to discuss because, there's words that, okay, Dharma centers don't ever talk about things going on out there in the world. And so we discussed the environment and, some angles of this is like, yeah, we need to do something about it. Dharma centers need to really, take a stand and be active in saving the environment. And one of my good friends who is a geologist, and he's a meditator, and he said, Trina, when I look back at what I learned from studying geology and looking at rock formations, whatever's happening now with our environment and with the planet happened millions of years ago. And so, my the view I have on this is that all the things that happen with our environment, to me, is recognizing that our existence contribute to this, by our very existence. So if one grappling with that my existence contribute to, the planet, I'm taking from the planet just through my very existence, and my existence, for my existence to be sustained, another species or animal is dying because of that as well. And so, we can work with, seeing the dualistic view sometimes in all this, that sometimes all these things contradict one another as well. And when we examine it deeply, we can see that, yeah, on one level, yes, there are things we can do as individual to be environmentally responsible and socially responsible, but all the while maintaining a sense of, that equanimity to recognize the ultimate truth that this is part of, impermanence of our planet. Just like us, we, are born, we experience illness and decay, and then we pass away. The planet experiences that as well. It's a living, breathing organism. And not to say that because that happens, so, okay, well, it doesn't matter, we don't do anything about it, but because we, in our practice, cultivate compassion, so compassion moves us to still take action to non-harming, to non-violence, to preserving life as best as we can, right? And to stopping the war or violence. And from the stand that, Thich was exiled from Vietnam because he was accused of not taking any sides. But he did take a stand. His stand was for peace. I'm not going to side with the left or the right, with the north or the south. My stand is for peace. My stand is for every, Vietnamese person to have life. And so there is something that we are still moved and called to do, but it's coming from that place of there's no enemy, but from the place of this oneness. Mm. Anyone else have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I just think that once you can do that, once you realize that the people that oppose you are also subject to the same patterns of cause and effect as you. There's a few people in my life that it was very hard to forgive. You know what I mean? And then I remembered the things that had happened to them, and I realized one of the things I like to say is that people don't have ideas, but ideas have people, in the sense that we become inhabited by ideas through either our upbringing or genetic background, or things like that. And so when you look at a person who, from your perspective, is causing harm to you, or they're supporting something which you believe is causing harm to the world, you can disassociate the person, the thing, that underneath all of it, you can have complete love and compassion for, from the role that they inhabit in the world. And there's a quote I like, though I am certainly the sort of person who does use intellectualism as a mask for insecurity. I can totally cop to that. I talk so much during your freaking during your Tuesdays, and I will never stop. That will never change. Just so you know. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So I really like, there's a quote I like, which is from the position of eternity, reasonable the only reasonable position is forgiveness. If you From the position of eternity, the only reasonable position is forgiveness. If you could stand outside of everything like God and look down at everything, you'd see that everything is just happening, like, stuff floating together without real actual motives, without real actual wills. And you could only have love and forgiveness for everything. I think that was Spinoza. Yeah.
Beautiful. From the position of eternity, there can only be forgiveness. Yeah. I really appreciate what you shared. And Anthony, you mentioned in bits of that too, is like that whether it's someone, the oppressor, right? Someone who's doing harm to us, or the perpetrator, to be able to see them not as the solid self, but what makes them the way they are. How did they become that way? Or how did I become this way, when I harm myself or other, those conditioning that are there. And so to see that it's not like that, it's not it's empty in its nature, because it is just all causes and conditions that are manifested in this moment for this, devastating, harmful, tragic thing to happen. And when we can, through the lens of seeing non-self, that there isn't a solid self that made this happen, and then to also see the element of a suffering that's there, that these actions, these harmful actions are rooted in suffering, generational suffering, ancestral suffering, suffering that's so deep-seated, or that at times we don't even know we are, you know, that it's been in us, that we've been carrying it. Like, so when one moves through the world, not aware of the suffering that they have within them, it's very easy to cause suffering onto other. Because from that place of delusion, you know, actions are deluded, speech is deluded, views are deluded as well. And so the work that we have, I shared last week in the part of this talk with reconciliation, is that to me, to be socially responsible is to be responsible for ourselves. Because when we learn to take responsibility for ourselves, now we are responsible for society. Now we can be in society in a responsible way, because we've worked to take care of our suffering. And when we see our suffering and know our suffering very well, we can understand that in others as well. You know, we're up on time. I want to just, I think, Kim, does someone have something to share? Kimberly, did you want to share anything? I was just curious if I see you on
Sure.
camera.
I
No, that's
try
not
to make an appearance.
Jason Green, where are you? Wait a minute, it's not coming through. Back to meeting. Okay, I'm gonna highlight you.
Oh.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Ever saying and teaching.
Hi.
You saying and
Hi. Hi. Oh, he's in a good mood. He's actually saying hello to me. Hi.
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 Hi. Baby.
Oh. Go ahead. Go ahead, baby. Go get it. Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for this just really great Dharma talk, and just topic of just how our views can really just constrict our just life force. It reminds me of, you know, a time. I've had many lives now, but there was a time in my life when I considered myself like, let's say, like a hippie who like just, you know, loved everything and everyone. But actually at the same time, I had a lot of judgment for certain groups of people, let's just say, you know, those who didn't share my views or my political stance, or you know, way of life, like so many different things. And I was really completely unaware at that time of how that actually showed up, both inwardly and outwardly, as like a form of hatred. I thought of myself as a loving person, but there were a lot of people that I really did not like and almost like hated. And so it was like through different just insights over the years, and just these like just really like almost random bursts of just having some kind of paradigm shift, that I really began to see, you know, what my fixed views and what my beliefs and you know, how I saw the world was actually really contracting me from really like being a loving person, which is what I had wanted to be, a loving, compassionate person. And so it's been through this work of really, you know, working through right view.
that I've just come to start to just like unravel that, you know, layer by layer. And now, you know, I can be with people of different backgrounds and beliefs that are not the same as me. And there's more, there's just more, so much more openness. And so, yeah, I think it's such an important practice to look at what our views are and how that either opens us up to people or the world around us, or keeps us from connecting with people. But yeah, thank you. Baby's crying.
Thank Dear friends, thank you for joining me in practice. I'd like to just end on a less, a more happier note. Yeah. We can go back to the practice sheet, and there's a wonderful song in here called "No Coming, No Going," and there we go. And we'll sing it twice. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me. I release you to be so free. Because I am in you and you are in me. Because I am in you and you are in me. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me. I release you to be so free. Because I am in you and you are in me. Because I am in you and you are in me. Friends, I will invite 3 sounds of the bell, and we will take 3 conscious breaths together. May you dwell in the ultimate. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And if you have time, please join us for snacks and drinks, a cup of tea or bubbly in the cafeteria area. So if we go out here to the left, take the left, and it's this big double doors that swing open. Bye, Kimberly. Bye, Everest. Bye. Looks like you're outside. Enjoy the breeze or the heat, or both. Love you. Oh, he gave me a kiss. He's really like talkative today, huh? In a good mood. Well, namaste. Oh, namaste. Oh. Bye. Love you, sister. Ready for takeoff. 3, 2, 1.